Ashley Sheree from the Soapbar Podcast, brought to you by the TV Cave. And this episode of the Soapbar Podcast is proudly sponsored by Dresser and Cheslow, PA, helping individuals and families throughout New Jersey with estate planning, real estate matters, estate administration, and guardianships. Okay, whether you're planning for the future or navigating important family and property decisions. Their experienced team is there to help guide you in every step of the way. Learn more at dressercheslow.com. That is Dresser, like Fran Dresser, Cheslow spelled ESLOW. Once again, that is Dresser and Cheslow.com. Soapwire was brought to you and sponsored by them. Hi, everyone. I am Ashley Sheree, and let's get into it. So, the first thing that we're going to talk about is the breaking news. Okay. I don't know if you guys saw, but TMZ has been having a field day with General Hospital, actors, stars, and what is going on with them in their personal life. So, TMZ did report that Steve Burton and his ex-wife are going back to court to deal with custody matters of their youngest child. I do believe they have three children together. Two are adults, so obviously they're doing their own thing, but they do have a young minor child, so they're trying to figure that out and work that out together. So I just, and wishing and hoping that everything works out, especially since a minor child is involved. And let's mosey on along to BTG Beyond the Gates. I know you guys missed this. Well, because essentially we were unable to record last week. And as you can see, I am by myself today. Need unfortunately could not record. So here I am because I want to talk about my story. So even if I have to do it by myself, your girl gonna do it. All right. So let's get into my favorite, Beyond the Gates. So essentially, Kat is still on her detective-ish, okay? So she figured out that Leah and Lynette had been involved in some form or some fashion, but she also gets nowhere because Leah don't play. And we all know that. She is a boss bitch and she goes about things the way she want to go about it. And if she feels like someone may essentially see what's going on with her, she's going to exit stage left, which is of course what she did. But Bill also finds out about Cat playing Harriet the spy, and he has some choice words for no mas. So essentially tells him like you need to make sure that Cat stays out of this. I pay you. Why are you getting my family involved? And this is when I have to say, like, y'all already know when it comes to Danny and Bill, I do not want it, but I do still love how much Bill does love the Dupree family. Okay. He doesn't play about them, period. He definitely doesn't play about Cat. I feel as though, and we spoke about this before, I do really feel like um Bill is low key more of a dad to Cat than Ted is in my eyes and how I see it. And I just wish that we were able to see Ted actually be a stand-up father to both of his children that he had with Nicole. Because obviously he's a stand-up father to Eva. Okay, he's trying to make up for lost time and he feels guilty. So he does what he needs to do there, but we don't get to see what he needs to do with his family that he had with Nicole. So I will say that piece. But going back to Bill as well. So Bill also has a conversation with Vernon. And in that conversation, he was talking about Martin, and Martin is trying to, well, he's not trying to be a senator yet, but of course, like that is his long time goal. And Bill, you basically is telling Vernon, like, we need to be very realistic about the type of person that Martin is. He's reckless, he's impulsive, and he's coddled. I wholeheartedly agree with Bill. I actually agree with everything that Bill has said. Martin is extremely reckless. He is very much impulsive. I don't think that he really thinks things through sometimes because he's always going to have mommy and grandma and granddad, especially granddad, come and save him. And it just looks like that is always a thing. And then he happens to be so judgmental too when it comes to Cat and all that other stuff. So I did really appreciate Bill being very truthful with Vernon and how he does see Martin, because Martin had didn't have to go through a lot of the things too that Bill had to go through. And I really do feel like, unfortunately, Martin may not know how to handle certain situations just based off the fact that he's been a coddled individual for so long. But that is just, my take on it. Martin does see his parents hugging, and it's kind of looking like what's going on here. Y'all already know they are. I feel like they're gearing up for a Ted and Nicole reunion. Just the things that they're doing, the way Ted has always looked at Nicole like he's longing. Um, it's just always there. I can always see it. Daphne and Keith definitely have chemistry as well with each other. So there goes that too. As well. So I'm just waiting for it to happen, and we'll talk more about essentially what happened there too. Because there's some things to talk about that Carlton and Nicole. I'm waiting a little bit before we can even get there. So additionally too, we do see that, oh God, once again, I call them the dueling mother-daughter you duo in a sense. I just can't. So essentially what does happen with that is they're at the country club. Kat and Nicole walk in, and then here comes like Eva and Leslie Dana, Honolulu Sherry. And once again, I just continuously feel like Leslie just always gets the last word. And I understand Nicole is a classy individual. I completely get it. But sometimes you need to put that classiness down and show them we can go toe to toe, bar for bar. And that's what I feel like Leslie Dana, Honolulu Sherry really needs. And granted, that may not be in Nicole's character, but she did choke her out that one time. So we need to see that back. I am so sick and freaking tired of seeing Leslie always get the last freaking word. Like it's just always there, and nobody else except for maybe like Aaliyah get the last word. Nobody, none of the Duprees, if you notice, ever get to have the last word with her. And it just to me, it looks like it could be the writing, it could be favoritism, but I just really would love to see the Duprees not back down. Cause even like the only one I feel can really go toe to toe is Anita, but then she'll bring up Barbara, and then it's just done. Everything ceased to be exist, and I'm just really, really tired. I'm just really, really tired. I would love to see the Duprees win against Leslie Dana, Honolulu Sharon. Just one freaking time. That is all I need. That is just all I need to see, and that's all I'm begging for. Also, Haley had a moment of celebrating, thinking that she has essentially won the battle, but it's soap. I completely doubt that she has won the battle, and I think Lynette will definitely be popping up sooner or later. Right now, because there's a couple of people that still need to pop up. Um, what is it? The guy who where Martin was protecting Vernon from, he's missing. We didn't see a body there. Dougie, we didn't see a body, and now Lynette, we didn't see a body. So there are a lot of loose ends with three different characters. I feel like they can come back at any freaking time, and then we can just essentially go from there. So I'm definitely going to be looking out for that too, and just to seeing what can happen, because we do need to tie up those loose ends and kind of see what's gonna happen there. Also, so additionally, Bill also spoke to Kat, about her being on her detective work, and we already know Kat is extremely stubborn. She doesn't want to hear it, but No Mas does step in again, and he tells him that he does not have to worry. Like, Kat's gonna be cool, and they're not gonna look into it any further. So we know that that's a lie. Um, so we'll definitely see what's gonna happen there. Now, moving right on along. So we gotta talk about this. So Nicole and Carlton decide to move forward. They have a long talk. They wind up having an amazing date. She takes him home, to do some little freaky deaky stuff. And as they are getting freaky deaky, she suddenly thinks of Ted. Now, I can honestly say that was something I completely was not expecting. I wasn't expecting Nicole to be thinking of Ted. Like now, Ted to be thinking of Nicole, of course, because you can essentially see that he still wants her. Yeah, we could still see that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, but they have been inching towards Nicole also being a little bit more open because even when they had the celebration for Chelsea Cat Bag, and that's when I first noticed that they were a little bit too chummy chummy. And then on top of that, we were able to see Cat peep it too. So there have been a couple of instances where I'm like, are they're definitely gearing up to get them back together. The thing that causes me issues that I don't like it is I do feel like Ted hasn't earned it. His character is not the best when it comes to women. Um, I feel that very much it just doesn't look good, especially when it pertains to Leslie Dana Honolulu Sherry. He has never put her in her place. As and I don't want to say place, but at least like been firm with her about like, hey, like this is um this is unacceptable. We have an adult daughter. We do not need to co-parent. I love Eva, but you do not have to be a part of it. And it continues him not taking a stern stance with Leslie Dana Honolulu Sherry allows her to just run amok because she also was glued into Shanice, and that's he's gonna ruin that relationship too. And I also see as though because I still feel like him and Nicole have not processed their feelings about their divorce, about their relationships. I feel as though they didn't really get to go in depth about everything about how they feel about each other. And we didn't even really get the Nicole to see Nicole being really angry too, or like seeing her process to move on. Essentially, she just decided, you know what? It's done. I'm done with him. I'm about to start dating, boinking whoever I'm gonna boink and call it a day. And I do feel like we needed to see her journey and her process that we didn't really get to see. I have taken issue with the way that Nicole has been written because I feel like there are a lot of missing pieces that we didn't get to see. Things need to stop being off screen and allow us to see it. A woman who has been in a marriage for over 30 years suddenly finds out that her husband cheated, has an adult daughter. I have to say adult because they try to treat Eva as though she's like a teenager or in elementary school. She's not. She's an adult. Like let's act like it. Um, and also now that adult daughter has a bat-ish mother who just does things that are completely uncalled for. I will never understand the animosity that Leslie Dana Honolulu has for Nicole, who did not do anything to her. It was Ted. But she wants to be with that man so damn bad. It's also disgusting. I'm just not for toxic misogyny and all of that stuff. And sometimes I see that because Bill and Ted have not had to work for to get those Dupree women back, their ex-wives. Not in the freaking slightest. They have not begged, groveled, walked on glass, rocks, fire, not they ain't do not a nothing. And Danny and freaking Nicole are yearning for them. And I hate it. Yeah, I do appreciate that Danny has essentially moved forward, but you know that she still has some feelings for him. I think she loves both of them. I do. I feel like she loves Andre and I feel like she loves Bill. And I just hate how she gives Bills passes. Have they had moments of talking about what they went through? Yeah, they did. But it ain't enough in my eyes. And Ted damn sure ain't do enough for Nicole either. So, like, how about we have these men really work to earn these ex-wives? Because even though I am a staunch staunch Nicole and well, sorry, I mean Danny and Andre. I know they're gonna get Bill and Danny back together. I already know that, so I have to prepare myself for it. But he don't need to get it this damn soon, and neither does Ted. They need to work to get them women back, and it ain't just flowers. Okay, I want to see begging and pleading. I want to see some Jodeci up in there. Period. Ugh. Anyways, let's mosey right on along to Bold and the Beautiful. So, child. So apparently Remy and Dylan are cousins. Yeah. So left field, out of the blue. But you know what? At this point in time, if Bold and the Beautiful likes it, I love it, but barely. I'm just gonna see where they go with this. Of course, she scolded him too about what he did to Electra and all of that stuff. I would have preferred someone from the past who has ties to Bold and the Beautiful coming back. Like it could have even been one of Sheila's other kids besides Finn, you know, her other children that they try to act like don't exist. The North remembers. She has a whole gangle of kids. It could have been like any one of them, you know. It could have been Diana. Like you know, you essentially it could have been even just something like, you know, it could have been Diana's father. Like, come, it could have been so many different things, and maybe we could have found out that Dylan was Diana. Like, I don't know. It could have just been so much better than having Remy be her cousin, and they just didn't essentially grow up together, and they grew up in different states but kept in contact. Like, okay, I guess. Like, we'll definitely see how that works out, and then it's gonna be like, oh, but you knew that that was your cousin and what he did to me, and then we're gonna see Electra whining and crying again. So, yeah, that's on that. Also, I do feel like there is a huge possibility that Hope could go to Logan, and I think why not? Go ahead and do it. So she's feeling some type of way because Steffi decided to postpone the release of the new line for Hope for the future because now Couture is their bread and butter. They have Eric back and they want to focus on their couture line. So, but Hope is, you know, of course, obviously, she's like, we worked so hard on this line, Zende and Thomas, and just now for it to be gone, and we've been waiting for a long time. She thinks it's personal, which it could be. I mean, Hope and Steffi have literally been going at each other for about what, 15 years? Just like their mothers with Ridge. Now it's for about 30. We's tired. Okay, so I mean it could be, but at least it's something a little bit more different and they're not fighting over a freaking man this time because Liam wasn't it. Liam was not it. So I do appreciate that they're trying to think of like, you know, something different. Katie and Liam do really want, you know, Hope to join Logan. Why can't they have their family be a part? And they talk about how the Foresters only care about their family and do everything for their family. But in my mind, too, so does Bill. Like you're always gonna side with family. That's just like what it is, you know. So I got what they were saying, but I'm like, Bill do the same thing. And I just feel like a lot of people will always put their family first. Like that's just like what it is. Of course they're not of course they're gonna go with putting Eric first above Hope's line. Like what are we talking about here? I think that's like obvious. So to me, I think it would be a great idea to essentially have like Hope move on over to Logan. And then if we can have a true fashion house type of situation on it and how they used to do back in the day and the battle and the fashion. That would be so dope. Let's bring it back to the Sally Spectre time. Come on, like let's like truly really go. Also after like Hope is feeling some type of way, she talks with Ridge and Steffi. Then she decides to talk to her mother about it. And, you know, she tries to get in her brain and just talk about that she should be running it with Ridge. And you know, she's low-key plotting. And so, and then what does Brick do? She rips out the old tricks. She decides she's gonna seduce her husband in order to get the co-CEO role. A leopard never changes its spots, huh, Brooke? It's like, okay. Um, but how old are we? We're kind of like still doing this, but I do feel like it is true to Brooke's character. Maybe she ain't never changed. and that's just who she is. So if that's just who she is, then that's just who Brooke is. So I guess y'all. So we'll see how that works out. Now, if Ridge really does decide to take Steffi off of being a CEO and give it to Brooke, that's gonna be some crazy-ish. And I kind of would like to see the fallout of that. I'm just saying, because that's going to be some entertainingness that we haven't seen. So I definitely have to say that. So let's mosey right on along to days of our lives. So as we know, Johnny was rescued by Javi. So he's in a hospital recovering, things of that nature. And this is the Johnny and Chanel story, especially when it pertains to Chanel, is something that I've been wanting for a very long time, a maternal health storyline. So I am kind of, stoked out that they're truly going that route. So after he's rescued, Javi also has to be hospitalized too because they were so focused on getting Johnny where he needed to get to, that they didn't check for, smoke inhalation and things of that nature. And so he had to be hospitalized. And of course, like him and Leo have a talk, and, Javi just really wants to move forward. And, they're not together. He says he has a man, like all of that stuff. But you can clearly see that they still love each other, but he's obviously still hurt. So, but going back to Chanel and Johnny, Chanel does tell Johnny about her having to get a biopsy because the lump that they found could be malignant and it could be cancer. And I'm just like, wow. But it's true that unfortunately there are women of a younger age because I feel like Chanel is probably like late 20s, two kids, and now she may have a lump in her breast. So I just hope they do this story with care, just like how BTG did this story with care pertaining to Anita's breast cancer storyline. So if they do decide to give Chanel cancer, I do truly hope that it's done well. Do your research, as someone whose family has dealt with breast cancer, has lost a mother to breast cancer. I don't play about storylines like this. So I just hope that they do it justice, and I hope that this maternal health storyline for Chanel can be done great. Raven is a great actress. That's who plays Chanel, and I'm excited to see where we can go from there. And I just really love seeing a Black woman get loved on. Like I do, like Johnny loves that woman down. And it's definitely really, really nice to see. So as we know, the whole Sophia storyline is happening. She wrote an unaliving note to essentially say that she was going to, take her own life and things of that matter. And we do know what happened. Kristen actually, prodded on her because of what she did to Rachel. So, Kristen is a Demara through and through. I feel like she's one of the people as well who's the most like Stefano besides EJ. So that's how I feel about that. Um, hmm. We're gonna act like that didn't happen. But also, going to with that, Amy Choi is now blaming like Holly, Ari, and Tate about everything that has happened with Sophia. She's like, you know that she had a mental illness and the way that y'all treated her, but a lot of the blame really for her really goes on to Holly, and she wants her to be charged with cyberbullying, which is another very like hot topic. So we'll definitely see how that essentially goes too. Once again, if it's done well, it could be done, it could be a really good storyline. I just be hoping that people just do it right. That is all I want. So it has been confirmed that Alex is the father of Joy's daughter Kelsey, which we all knew was gonna happen. I am happy that they brought Joy back. For me personally, I always saw more chemistry with Joy and Alex, and that's who I wanted to be together. But they are kind of making like Alex and Stephanie a thing, even though they're cousins. I don't care if it's not by blood, they are still cousins, and I said what I said. So they're still moving forward with that, but he does convince Joy to stay in town, so obviously he can get to know his daughter, as he should. I am disappointed that they had Jeremy leave town. We talked about this previously, that he wouldn't be staying. I thought that quadrangle could have been amazing, but unfortunately we don't have it. Um, she figured out that he was the one who told Joy about coming back to town. So that way, Alex could know about his daughter. And then he wound up leaving. She had a conversation with Julie about it and everything of that nature. I feel like it's such a missed opportunity, unfortunately. Um, yeah, it's just a bummer that Jeremy is not there. We don't really get to see the Hortons like we should. Sean D should definitely have a story. I think we might see a little bit more of him because of Jada moving in with him and him being pumed by JJ. JJ is another Horton that we don't really see. Thank God Eli's coming back, but they really have to. Days really needs to work on their Hortons. We just don't. Julie and Ari are literally the only Hortons that we see constantly. That's a problem. They are literally the center family. Like, what are we doing? But you know what? I'm just gonna, child. I'm just gonna like leave. Who's that there? Because that is so freaking annoying to me, in my eyes. But and so Gabby is also plotting about Ari and Liam. Philip tries to tell her to like let it go because essentially you're going to push them even more together. And then he also tells her about um Tyler. And it is funny because I'm like, Gabby, you was a wild one. Like Philip is right. You was a wild one. So you think that by you doing all of this, Ari's going to listen to you? She's just like her mother. She ain't going to listen to you. Period. I do wish they also bring back like Sunny and Will. I would love to see them interact too with their daughter as well. And I do love when we get to see Gabby and Ari together. Those are things that I really do enjoy seeing. You gotta have that family tie. And talking about families as well. Theo went to go and see Marlena. I believe he confided about his mom, so we already know what's going on. With that situation, we'll talk more about Lexi in a minute. Kate is also still leaning into the fact of like saying that she did not set up Johnny, which we all know she did. Um, Talking more about family, Justin is super happy to be a granddad again, and I love that. I thought the scenes that they had were absolutely, I just thought they were lovely. They brought up Adrian and how essentially like even though like Alex wasn't her biological child, she loved that boy down, like period. She loved being a boy mom, adopted, stepmother, like, biological mother. She just loved it all. And it was nice to see. Sometimes I take great issues with soaps and how they treat non-blood related families. But one thing I can say too, I do believe that Days is one of the best soaps that really doesn't negate unless you're Lonnie and then you forget about the mom who raised you, but we're not gonna go there. Um, Usually they're very good about non-blood related because you could look at Abe Carver, or you could look at John Black. Like they love their non-blood related children just like their own. And I just think that those are amazing things to see as well. And Alex is just hoping that maybe Stephanie would be that way. But Stephanie wound up seeing Kelsey and Joy at the pub and she beelined it out of there. Since you're gonna have to get over that. Kelsey is Alex's daughter. Okay. And they got together before, you and him decided to make it truly official. So like, girl, and it's a baby. Like, please stop. I could more so see if like he cheated or something of that. He didn't even cheat on you. I know you don't like it and you've been going through your trauma, so your things are hitting you a little bit differently. But girl. And then of course, lastly, we had the Demira will reading for Stefano. Everyone was there. Marlena even stopped by and then she did leave because she just wanted to say that she wasn't taking anything that was bequeathed to her. And then who do we have coming up out of there? No one but Lexi. No one but Lexi. And that was good. That's how a cliffhanger is supposed to be. Okay? Sign me up for make cliffhangers like that, especially on a Friday. And bring back the cliffhangers, okay? Bring them back. So we'll see how all of that unfolds, especially since EJ was the one who made sure to bring her back to life. Theo knew about it, so did Parlena. Like Abe is gonna go to town. I just really hope they keep Abe and Theo at the center of the story. Lexi is Theo's mom. She is the wife of Abe. They need to be front and center in that story. Not EJ, not Paulina. Those three specifically. EJ and Paulina need to be supporting in this story. And I said what I said. Okay. Moving right along to General Hospital. But General Hospital, guys, I don't really don't have too much for General. General Young and the Restless, you already know how that goes. So but I have to say, I did see the Jack confronting Carly and Valentine. That two child. No, that was so soapy. That was so soapy. Laura Wright let people know I was on Loving. I was on The City. I was on Guiding Light. Okay. I does this soap-ish. Okay. Like she's a true soap actress. I do like when Laura Wright has fallout stories and she's able to, really go there. Sometimes it could be a little bit much, but sometimes it's just right. And this time it was just right. I was slobbing it up like a biscuit. I thought it was so good how she confronted Jack. Also, I love me some Valentine Down. Valentine and Carly are just hot. I'm sorry. They just really, really freaking have it. They are that couple. They are. The chemistry just oozes off the screen. And I also don't know if it's James Patrick who plays Valentine, but every single freaking woman that he's paired with, they look so good together. They do, whether it's Cynthia Watros, whether it's Michelle Stanford, whether it's Fiona Hughes, like they all and shoot now, whether it's Laura Wright, that's four different women. Four. Even the one that played Brooklyn before Amanda Sutton. Yeah, Kim, that's five. I'm just saying. That man know how to pull out the chemistry and he knows how to really and he's an eater. He knows how to really like act, with these women. So like I love that he made Valentine an eater. I love that he makes Valentine, really like go in for his women. Like I just love it so freaking much. Oh my God, I love it so much. Uh, and additionally, they're still pushing for Trina to be a singer. I hate it. I hate it. Why does Trina need to be a singer? She wanted to do art. That's what she wanted to do. That's what she loved. That was her passion. This singing came out of so left field, and I hate it. I hate it so freaking bad. I They will not give my girl, well, they won't give any of my girls, her or Liz, a story, a really, really good story. Well, that might be changing for Liz right now. We'll get into that in a second. But she deserves more than just being a singer. What's going on with school? What are they gonna, like, what's happening with that? Is Paris not happening anymore? She's barely in the gallery. I just don't know. And this is why a lot of times too, I just don't have the patience for General Hospital just because of things like this. It just doesn't make sense. But it's talking about my girl, my other girl, Liz. So her and Dante work together. You already could see they're gearing up for them to be together there too. I don't care what nobody say. Dante and Liz are about to be together. And they do have Kim. You see the way Dante be looking at Liz? I'm just saying. Okay, so it's definitely coming. He figures out that it was actually they both figured that it was actually Rocco who Pum Pum Cullum. So he had some confrontations to do after. But yeah, that's yeah. Dante and Liz is next, and also just the fallout from finding out about Rocco is going to be amazing as well. Um, and then also, Ethan is working with Sunny. Sunny thinks Rick is lying. Aren't we past this Sunny and Rick like hating each other? Like, I don't I'm over that. Like, who wants to see that now? These men are in their 60s. Get it together. Either we gonna be family or we just gonna go no contact. Like, we can't just be waffling back and forth. What are we doing? Um, Ethan also knew Phoebe's mom, Delilah. We'll figure out how they were connected. Josh and Cassius have this knockdown, drag out fight. I was fine with it. Some people did take issue. I don't know why. This is a fight. She's a WSB agent. It's not like this is her man that she's fighting or anything like that. Like she was gonna fight him. Like that's just like what it was. So I don't understand the uproar that some people had about it. She's an agent. So obviously she does lose a fight and now she's kidnapped. And Cash just tells her everything, who he really is, the plan, the plot, and how it all came about. And also how Liesel doesn't know that the twin survived or that she has a twin. And lastly, Nina injects the syringement for Drew into Jack because Jack and Valentine were fighting. It got heated, got caught up, and bam, he got it instead. So that was definitely a moment too as well. And let's go into the Young and the Restless. So you already know I really don't really have much for the Young and the Restless usually, but Billy and Victoria were having their usual sparring match, and then she did find out that him and Sally are expecting. I hate that Sally's pregnant by Billy of all people. Would I have rather have been Adam? Yeah, I'm not gonna hold you. Billy don't need no more kids either, but I would have rather it would have been Adam. But that's just me. I don't understand why they want them to be together so bad. Like they don't have it to me. That is just me. I do not like Sally and Billy together. Um, Also, Sienna thinks that she may have murked Matt, which of course she didn't. Sis thinks she did, but she didn't. And so there goes that. And then the false evidence does allow for Phyllis and Kane to be arrested. And you knew this was going to happen too, because you already knew that he was going to test, he was going to be a match for Malcolm. And of course, they have to create something to get him to not be able to give it right away. So now they're going to have to cut through the red tape in order to save him. You guys already know. You already know. So yes. And that is it for us today. I know that this was a short episode and I'm by myself, so I really do hope that you enjoyed it. These are just my thoughts. So take them or leave it. These are just my opinions on my stories that I love. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. Please be sure to follow us on TikTok. It is soap.wire or Instagram, which is soap_wire. We'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Additionally, please don't forget that this episode of the Soap Wire podcast was sponsored by Dresser and Cheslow. Okay, Dresser and Cheslow. Once again, helping individuals and families throughout New Jersey with estate planning, real estate matters, and state administration and guardianship. Please feel free to check out more and learn more at dressercheslow.com. That's Dresser like Fran Dresser. Cheslow. Cheslow is spelled Cheslow. DresserCheslow.com. And thank you so much for joining us on the Soap Wire podcast. We will see you next week, like hopefully. And with that, bye.